You know that feeling when a character is so well written that you genuinely hate them? Not in a fun, cartoon villain way, but a deep, visceral hatred that stays with you long after the credits roll. Micah Bell is that character. A racist, a murderer, a manipulator, and ultimately, the rat who destroyed the Van der Linde gang from within. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Micah Bell is also one of the most brilliantly crafted antagonists in gaming history. And today, we're going to understand exactly what makes him tick. Micah Bell III was born in 1860 to a family where violence was a hereditary trait. His grandfather was an outlaw. His father, Micah Bell Jr., was wanted for murder in 5 counties. When Micah was just 17 years old, he and his father committed a double homicide so brutal that it still stands out in a world already drowning in blood. Roscoe and Jean Briggs were found hung from the rafters, their throats slit. This wasn't a crime of passion or survival. This was an initiation. By the time we meet Micah in 1899, he's a 39-year-old career criminal who's been running with outlaws his entire life. He rode with a crew that included 2 men named Cleet and Joe. He attempted a bank robbery down south that failed spectacularly. He carries the scars of a life lived on the edge of society's rules. But more importantly, he carries something else, a philosophy. Micah Bell sees the world through a single, unforgiving lens: strength versus weakness. There are winners, and there are losers, and nothing else besides. When he says these words to Dutch, he's not just posturing, he's revealing his entire worldview. In Micah's mind, the strong survive because they deserve to. The weak die because they failed to be strong enough. There is no morality, no loyalty, no higher purpose. There is only winning and losing. This is what makes him so dangerous. Arthur Morgan, for all his flaws as an outlaw, operates with a conscience. He questions Dutch, he protects the vulnerable members of the gang, he grapples with the weight of his sins. Micah feels none of that weight. When he kills, and he kills often, there's no hesitation, no remorse, no second thought. Death is simply what happens to people who aren't fast enough, smart enough, or ruthless enough to survive. During the strawberry incident, this philosophy is on full display. After getting himself arrested in a drunken brawl, Micah convinces Arthur to break him out of jail. Any sensible outlaw would escape quietly and disappear. But Micah needs his guns back. So instead of fleeing, he launches a one-man assault on the entire town, killing dozens of lawmen and civilians alike, just to retrieve his prized revolvers from a man named Norman. And when he finds Norman, he kills him and his wife without a moment's hesitation. Arthur is horrified. Micah doesn't understand why. The Van der Linde gang, at its heart, is a family. That's its strength and its fatal weakness. Dutch recruits people who need saving: lost souls, orphans, outcasts. Arthur, John, Hosea, Charles, they all found purpose and belonging in the gang. But Micah was never looking for family. He was looking for opportunity. From the moment he joins the gang, there's an uneasy tension. Micah doesn't fit. He bullies the weaker members: Reverend Swanson, Mary Beth, even Susan Grimshaw. He makes racist comments about his bunkmates. He threatens violence against anyone who questions him. And yet, Dutch keeps him close. Why? Because Micah understands something that the others don't. Dutch Van der Linde is a man who needs to be admired. Arthur and Hosea challenge Dutch, they question his decisions, they represent the voice of reason that Dutch secretly resents. But Micah tells Dutch what he wants to hear. He validates Dutch's grand vision, his anger at civilization, his belief that the world owes them something. Micah becomes Dutch's mirror, reflecting back everything Dutch wants to see in himself. But corruption of Dutch Van der Linde doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, methodical process, and Micah is patient. He doesn't need to convince Dutch to abandon his principles, he just needs to create circumstances where those principles become inconvenient. Consider the chain of events. It's Micah who pushes for the Blackwater ferry robbery, a heist that goes horribly wrong and forces the gang into hiding. It's Micah who convinces Dutch to attend the peace meeting with Colm O'Driscoll, a meeting that nearly gets Arthur killed. It's Micah who fans the flames of Dutch's paranoia when Hosea and Arthur suggest caution. Again and again, Micah steers the gang toward chaos, and each time, Dutch follows. The turning point comes after Garma. Something breaks in Dutch during those weeks on the tropical island. He watches his carefully constructed world crumble. And when the gang returns to America, Dutch is no longer the charismatic leader he once was. He's paranoid, erratic, and desperate. This is the moment Micah has been waiting for. Here's the detail that changes everything. Micah Bell didn't become an informant out of desperation or fear. He became an informant because it was the winning move. After Garma, Micah makes contact with Agent Milton of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. We don't know exactly what was offered or promised, but the timing is telling. Micah returns from Garma and immediately positions himself as Dutch's most loyal soldier while simultaneously feeding information to the very people hunting them. It's the perfect hedge. If the gang survives, Micah is Dutch's right hand. If the gang falls, Micah walks away with a deal. This betrayal isn't emotional. It's not personal. It's simply the most rational calculation a man like Micah can make. Which side is more likely to win? When Arthur finally confronts Micah in camp, revealing the truth to Dutch, Micah doesn't deny it. He doesn't apologize. He simply repositions, "I'm a survivor, black lung." A survivor. That's all there is, living and dying. In Micah's world, betrayal isn't a sin. It's the natural order of things. The mountain at Mount Hagen. 1907, 8 years have passed since the fall of the Van der Linde gang. Micah has rebuilt, forming his own crew and continuing his reign of terror. He's killed 24 men personally. He's committed murders so brutal that they make the papers. He's become exactly what he always was, a predator with no leash. But the past has a way of catching up. John Marston, Sadie Adler, and Charles Smith climbed that mountain with vengeance in their hearts. And when they finally corner Micah, something remarkable happens. Dutch appears. For one brief, suspended moment, it seems like Dutch might side with Micah one last time. But Dutch has had 8 years to think. 8 years to replay every decision, every betrayal, every moment he ignored Arthur's warnings. And in that frozen second on the mountain, Dutch finally sees Micah for what he truly is. He shoots him. Micah Bell dies not at the hands of John Marston, but at the hands of the man he corrupted. There's a tragic poetry in that. The student kills the teacher, and then the teacher kills the student. Dutch doesn't shoot Micah to save John, he shoots Micah to save himself from the reflection of what he's become. Micah Bell isn't just a villain. He's a thesis statement about the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. The game asks a central question: in a world that's changing, a world where civilization is crushing the last vestiges of the Wild West, what kind of man survives? Arthur's answer is redemption, finding humanity in the face of inevitable death. Dutch's answer is denial, clinging to a fantasy that's already dead. John's answer is family, building something new from the ashes of the old. Micah's answer is the most honest, and the most terrifying: he survives by becoming the very thing that civilization fears most. A man without conscience, without loyalty, without love. A man who has reduced the complexity of human existence to a single question: are you strong enough to take what you want? That white hat Micah wears is supposed to be the mark of a good guy in Western tradition. But this isn't a traditional Western. This is the end of the West, where the line between good and evil has blurred into meaninglessness. Arthur, the protagonist, wears black. Micah, the villain, wears white. And in that visual irony, Rockstar tells us everything we need to know about their world: nothing is as it seems, and the bad guys don't always look the part. When you finally put down your controller after that final showdown, you're left with an uncomfortable realization. Micah Bell was right about one thing: the world doesn't care about your principles. It doesn't reward loyalty or love or sacrifice. It rewards winners. And in the end, Micah Bell lost. But the philosophy he represents, the cold, calculating Darwinism of the modern world, that philosophy won. The Wild West died, and what replaced it was Micah Bell's world. Micah Bell 3. Born in blood, lived by the gun, died on a mountain, unmourned and unloved. He is the character we love to hate, the villain we can't forget. And if Red Dead Redemption 2 teaches us anything, it's this: the real monsters aren't the ones wearing masks. They're the ones who look you in the eye and smile, while they stab you in the back. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of gaming's greatest villains, check out our analysis of Dutch van der Linde and Arthur Morgan's tragic journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, though maybe not the one Micah Bell is ringing.